The story is this. ServiceNow, when we started our business in 2015, was a fairly small platform. But since 2015, it's continued to grow by way of acquisition and replatforming onto the ServiceNow platform. And also organically, the product teams have built and built and built and built. And so what this means is that customers that are evaluating ServiceNow are looking at not just one problem that they're solving for in the business, they're looking at a whole set of problems, a problem set that oftentimes has interrelated components. The regular question that we get from ServiceNow customers is, where do I start? How do I do this? I need to implement ITSM and it's really, really important to me. The initial question is why and what happens next? After ITSM and you get control of your IT processes, does that then mean that we're going to move into SecOps and really begin to understand the attack surface of your business and how we're going to prevent cyber criminals? So these are the types of things, scenarios that we have to help businesses think through in order to drive digital transformation. And this is exactly what FlightPath is meant to do. So the question was, what is FlightPath? FlightPath attempts to just briefly tap the brakes. And before doing the initial thing that the customer is really trying to do, we take a step back and we say, okay, Mr. Customer, it's great that you want to do this one thing, but let's look out 36, 48, 60 months, and let's determine what your business objectives are. And then let's figure out how we can take ServiceNow and then mesh ServiceNow with those business objectives so that there's a multi-phased plan such that when you start phase one, you understand why you're doing phase one and what happens after phase one and so on and so forth so that you can maximize the business value of your investment in ServiceNow. So that's FlightPath. In terms of market differentiation, so NewRocket starts and stops with ServiceNow. And there are a number of reasons for that, but we only do ServiceNow consulting. What I think is important to call out is that we also consult on adjacent sort of interconnect points. So for example, if we're talking to a managed service provider and they say, great, well, we're using ServiceNow for service delivery, but how do we drive invoicing? How do we collect cash more quickly? Well, then there's an interconnect between ServiceNow and their ERP system or ServiceNow and their time tracking system. So these are the business discussions that we have. So FlightPath really concerns itself today with the service delivery component of ServiceNow, which is a little bit different than some of the boutique partners out in the marketplace who do a great job building the thing, but sometimes they struggle establishing that longer view picture, which we can do directly with the ServiceNow platform. And this is differentiated from some of the largest partners in the ecosystem who certainly have capabilities around ServiceNow, but they'll go into the ERP system or into the CRM system, and they'll actually try to push customers into consulting engagements in those areas as well. And that may not be where a customer wants to go, particularly after they've made a large investment in ServiceNow. So NewRocket is very focused on just ServiceNow and some of these adjacent, like interconnected areas. And that's why our strategic viewpoint with respect to FlightPath is very focused and is a little bit different than what other competitors are out there talking about. So my first recommendation would be, we'd love to learn a little bit more about your business. And in so doing, we can begin to shape what a FlightPath engagement would look like for you, because not every business is exactly the same. And we certainly have a framework within which we work. But the immediate call to action would be that we'd love to set up a customer who's interested in going through one of these engagements to build one of these sort of journey maps with some of the folks from our FlightPath team to understand what such an engagement could look like for them.